All right, folks, it's 7 o'clock. For everybody who is here in person or online, thank you so much for being here. For our brave speakers, thank you for being on camera all night. We appreciate that you will be the face of this recording. Good work. My name is Brandon Hill. I am the Vice President for the JC, North Columbus JCs. Forgot who I was. Really excited to have everybody here today. Really excited to have a room full of folks with full bellies, and any folks who are online or watching this in the future, hello future people, happy to see you. Tonight we have a really exciting opportunity. We're actually just going to have a panelized roundtable discussion with this phenomenal group known as Family Promise. They are an organization that is dedicated to not just housing people, but enabling dreams. And that's pretty exciting. And I think that with our ties to the JC Village, JC Arms, for what we try and do with the community, and with our ties to the North Columbus or to the NCJC Housing and Development Foundation, I think that it's a mission that really resonates with everybody here today. So I hope that this conversation will provide opportunities for us to network, find chances for us to volunteer, and also just personally connect with some phenomenal people. Since we do have a room full of folks, I'll go ahead and just have everybody do a brief introduction, name, who you're with, what you do, what you like to do, maybe something fun like that. We're going to start over here with Greg 30acre III, and then we will conclude with our speaker lineup. So Greg, I do have the microphone up here up front, so if you can all give me your projection voice, like you're out on the stage doing theater, it would be appreciated. Thank you.
Greg 30acre III, Vice President of the Foundation, past member of the chapter. If we got somebody at the door, you gotta.
She had crap.
Okay, hi, I'm Allie. I'm the secretary for North. I'm a behavior center for children with autism, and I have practically.
My name is Eric Avalos. I'm the external vice president for the North Columbus JC, and recently got into pickleball.
I'm Haley Avalos. I attend these occasionally when I can, and then with Vivian.
It's Vivian 30acre. Relative to a fair amount of people here. I'm Ashley 30acre. I'm an instructional designer at OSU's Wexner Medical Center, and then past president of this chapter, as well as a variety of other things that have been throughout the years.
Hi everyone, I'm Veronica Cardello. I'm a friend of Brandon.
I'm Cheryl 30acre. I am Vivian's grandma. And I'm retired, so I'm loving life.
Greg 30acre, past president of the Foundation.
I'm Stephanie Wagner, member of the JCs. I'm also on housing boards. President.
Steve Wolski, past president, long time member, vice president of this building, member of the foundation. Eric Glassford, member of the JCs, and I work at Nationwide Arena Security.
Matthew Berger, member of the JCs. I do customer service for Maurice's, and I enjoy filling my voice.
Brandon Hill, internal vice president for the chapter, COO at the foundation, and really excited to have you all here.
Thank you.
Tanya Froelich, I'm the vice president of the Barkus Company. I am then in charge of managing all of the properties for these fine folks.
who are all related to Vivian or.
I'm Pam Newhouse, and I'm one of the case managers for Family Promise. I work at Impact Station, and I have 9 of those.
My name is Cherie Sanders. I'm an employee at Family Promise Beyond Support Care Specialist and owner of Zade Soul Food.
There you go. Hi, everybody. I'm Gwen Stetler. I'm Executive Director of Family Promise. I'm also a co-pastor in the Mennonite Church.
I'm Jennifer Arnold. I'm Director of Impact Station. I'm a return Peace Corps volunteer, project manager, all kinds of things, facilitator, and I like to garden.
I'm Callie Bramel. I am the Delaware Promise House Site Director, also the lead housing case manager. And I, in my spare time, will squire for a jousting troop. So lots of hauling things and tacking horses and armoring knights and falling off of things. I learned something.
She really jives.
I'm Karen Baseman. I am the board treasurer and I am a math teacher, high school math teacher.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Clint Capella. I apologize for being late. I do not know Vivian.
But now you do.
Apparently you're popular. I'm on the Family Promise Housing Board. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much. I'm going to let our guests have the floor. And I think we just want to encourage conversation. We'll certainly allow you to lead the conversation, but I know that it's important that we all get the chance to chat with y'all.
Conversation is important. I had the chance when we were together as a group, small group earlier, to share with Brandon and Greg a little story. Some of you know who maybe have done some grants with me know that I have a password. I'm not going to tell you the whole password, but it starts out dream, true, da, 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 da. And I put it in as my password for just about everything because I had this little pet peeve. And it comes from this. A couple of years ago, we had a resident at Promise House who I sat with, and he said, everybody in my life I've ever known has really been a dream crusher. So my pet peeve is this, that so often we talk in groups over and over again, and we talk about dreams, but we don't really have a way to enact them. So sitting with people whose dreams have been crushed and seeking things like housing, I am so moved by the way that you've made these dreams. You developed this housing, it's incredible. And right off the bat, if we do nothing more than have the hope, folks know I'll go to these meetings that are supposed to be about housing and I go, where is the housing? There's just no housing. So you've given me personally and us hope tonight that a group like you could gather and do this. So thank you. I am going to share a tad just about our model, a little bit of background. We're all here to be with you and we want to hear your voices. So I mentioned model, but I want folks to just speak out, and I'd love to hear you. What's some of your motivation to do what we do? We know that you developed housing, but just in a few words, what was your motivation? What was the fire in the belly for you to do that?
Touching lives.
What was that?
Touching lives.
Touching lives.
Through a positive way.
To improve the communities right where you're at. What's the fire in the belly? Any other motivators?
Isn't it Simon? You introduced me to Simon. And he always wants to know your why.
Yeah.
Yes, he wants to know I'm telling you that I've almost through that book and it's been profound.
So you, the why.
You did?
You know, I tell you what we'll do just throughout while we're talking. If your why pops out and you want to share it, that's great. I brought a couple things, and this is silly. I don't always bring props, but I came to the realization, whether you like angels or not, I've got 5 angels that have a broken wing on them. I don't know what it's about, but it's happened to me. This plate, it says we are all angels with but one wing and we can only fly by embracing each other. This plate was from a CEO in Central Ohio, mega CEO in Dublin. And he didn't know what to do with his why. I knew him, he had foster kids, I'd been around him, and he was pretty sad that he didn't know what his why was. Katrina hit. Mayor Coleman tapped on me to be available and others on the mayor's task force in Columbus to resettle folks with Katrina. There was a whole core of us. 3,000 people, you may know, over a few week time came to Columbus to get housing. And it was an incredible experience. So when I think about this idea, this other one, I'm telling you, I have like 5. This is one winged angel. We have one at the house, don't we?
We have a no-headed angel.
This one has that too. So I don't know what the deal is. So anyway, this one comes from someone from the West Ohio Conference of the United Methodist Church, who ended up being one of the founders of the Church for All People and the Community Development for All People. I keep this one winged angel because I know last year, so they got 88 million through a partnership with Nationwide Children's Hospital. And when I say, where's the housing on Parsons Avenue, I know that, so these one winged angels, we can't do it all by ourselves, but you see this? As we look at our model, Beyond Promise is our community building model around alums. And Cherie owns one of the alumdome businesses that partner with us, and Zade Soul Food.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm so grateful that you could be here tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank y'all for having me.
One of her other peers who is an alum, her household was with us about 4 or 5 years ago, and her partner's on our board. She has a cottage industry now called Bakesters. So she baked these for you and use the most innovative technology. All of our staff, and there's some what we call high expectation volunteers, especially from the faith community and other places on here. We've got some contract folks and we have interns on here, but this is a fuller sense of community. So as we sit here tonight, if we're any one of us with one here, I'm not full and complete without, what we can do together. So that's a big thing. So I wanted to just be able to share that with you and to be connected even more fully to who we are. And I have to say, we got to get another one that has our board on that, because if you look at our model here, Family Promise is a national organization. It was founded in the 1980s in the New York City area because population density, there's overflow in New Jersey. A lot of interfaith congregations got together in what I would call an emergency management kind of model. They used the buildings that they had, the churches, the temples, the synagogues, and opened them up. And it was called then the Interfaith Hospitality Network. And that's where the first site was. What you may not know, where was the second site in the country, the first affiliate? Anyone want to guess?
New Jersey.
It's Columbus, Ohio, at Faith Mission. So long and short of it, I ended up being able to be a part of that, and was asked at that time in the 1990s to talk in Delaware. And there was this question. There are some folks from Ohio Health and Ohio Wesleyan that had 2 workshops. Could there really be homeless people in Delaware? That was the question. And with my office at that time at Faith Mission, and at that time we housed 700 families a year with 15,000 volunteers in 150 different faith groups, so very diverse in their buildings. And so when they said, I happen to be aware that folks from all these different rural counties were pretty much getting shipped to Columbus. Columbus can't handle all that. So people worked really hard over many years. There was a concerned citizens group, and Karen here was from we had 12 congregations that started our affiliate. It was 14 years ago in August, and it took a ton of work. But in Delaware, there were some, I thought, very proactive. The best practices, the least mobility, the more stability. So there's a house. We had another house prior, but it landed in this house for over 12 years. And so instead of the people that we house having to go to different congregations, which the hospitality was beautiful, there are some great things that happen with that. The congregations and civic groups and volunteers come to the house to volunteer now. And so it's a beautiful thing. But if you notice in our model underneath, we are housing with dignity. We have grown and learned since then. It's not this idea, just you all come on over, that it takes some really skilled people. Jennifer is one, and it takes everybody who works on diversion, and anybody who answers the phone. It's not just a simple phone call. Hey, are you homeless? What's going on? It's, there's complicated things going on in people's lives. And if she and anybody else can keep people on housing where they are at, that's a gold standard. That's a great thing. And that's a success. If someone is in Columbus and calls us and they can stay in Columbus, it's not that we don't want to be good and welcoming people, but if you have any support where you're at, that's the very best thing. Someone say these times because of housing costs, it's like a modern diaspora, that people are getting scattered everywhere. So if we can have that stability, that's a great thing. So you see emergency shelter down there smaller, but the truth be told, last year, we have a second site now in Union County Impact Station that we've been asked to operate. And emergency shelter is small there, although we had 12,997 nights of stay. And we want these other things to be bigger, that we're doing rapid rehousing, that we have the faithful skill-based volunteers, partnerships, but at the bottom and, beyond promises of our alums and the community support that we have is stabilization, what undergirds all of this. We want communities, we want people to have the resources to be stable. During the pandemic, I have to commend our board, made a decision with the staff. We were having people dropped off at the house of all ages. Our oldest person last year was 95. And, we had old babies that are born to parents when they're with us. We have had a lot of 18 to 24-year-olds. In the spring, we had 4 trans youth dropped off on our porch, some by their parents. So we want to be able to do things in a safe and right way. And so it takes skilled people figuring out how to do this together. But the decision that was made by the board was that we would accept families of 1 to families of many. So that if you come to us as a single, we're not going to say that you're not included. We want to try to figure out if there's any other resource, just like with any other household. But I have to tell you, there's even fewer single shelters in a lot of the communities than the ones for adults, for kids. So I commend the board for doing that. I know it hasn't been easy, but in a time like a pandemic, things like these need to happen. So I would like just to pause for a moment. Did anything else pop up around motivation or a question? If I just shared an intro.
No, stop, please.
I was just gonna say, for me, I think it's provide a path and knowing that there's people that don't have the same blessing or the same support system, that they being able to give a little bit back, even a small bit, to support those people in their endeavors and trying to give them a little bit of what I have.
Great.
Gwen, can I ask?
Sure.
Can you summarize what gets said around the table for some of those that are further away? That way the mic catches it.
Because the mic is right there.
So he wants. Okay, summarize after I say it.
What she said.
Okay, what she said.
So I'll talk to this one.
Okay.
So Stephanie shared that one thing that motivates her is the fact that she feels so blessed to have the opportunity to be a blessing to others who need it. I'll go ahead and just share a short anecdote that has resonated with me. Those of you that know me know I started my career in science and community management. I took a course on community resiliency back in grad school. And the idea was, how do you build communities that can be hit by a hurricane and then recover quickly? And the professor that I worked with is actually a brilliant, world-renowned modeler who comes up with these crazy softwares that you can enter in all this information and it'll actually tell you how resilient a community will be under certain circumstances. It was remarkable. But one of the things that sticks with me is just a very simple principle. We had this kind of bar chart on the side that would show you resilient or not resilient and weak to certain issues. Every single time that you entered in to the equation that a community was made up of well-connected, well-organized volunteer groups, churches, and hospitals, as soon as you typed that information in and said that there were these frontline volunteer organizations in that community, that had more of an impact on resiliency for a community than a brand new fire station, a brand new police station, a brand new infrastructure. It really was always the human factor that made the largest difference when we were talking about community resiliency. And that's something that attracted me to do what we're doing now. because I know the importance of that touching a life factor. And I see that in what you guys are doing as well.
Thanks. Well, I asked the motive question because I know for me, spirituality and faith are important, but science is a gift. And one of the best practices around science is motivation for change. So not only for us here at the table, how do communities change? How do organizations, how do people change? A lot of it has to do with that intrinsic motivation. And if we can't get there, change doesn't happen. So I know a few of us here had a chance to talk a bit ahead of time about motivation. I know you've got some motivators going.
My name is Cherie Sanders, Beyond Support Specialist at Family Promise. My motivation is helping others that's going through what I went through. So I've been there before. I know what it feels like to need help, not have nowhere to go. So my journey started at Family Promise 10 years ago, so I'm a little nervous. I don't know why, because I talk so much. I think it's the camera, but Family Promise helped me get a house. I lived there for 9 years. I just moved because I have a total of 5 kids at home, mainly 4 to come back and forth, but I have kinship care of my brother kids. I'm dealing with that. That's not too bad. And so mainly my motivation is to help others, let them know like that's not forever. You just right here, but you can get further, and I'm a living example. And I still have day-to-day issues, but it's like, I'm here to help. We can move forward and just showing by example.
So we've been walking with alum-owned businesses, and Cherie owns an LLC. Do you want to share a little bit more about your LLC?
Okay. I have a catering business. I do pop-ups all around town, Delaware and Marysville, wherever they want some food. So that's what I'm doing right now. I do a lot of work with the community through Family Promise with giving back and things of that sort. So outside of that, I'm working on growing my business.
So you're
did everything that I was supposed to. What was asked of me is what I did. I didn't do anything but what was asked. Hey, you do this, you're going to get this. So I did that. That's how I got where I was at. I didn't do what I wanted to do. I didn't take no, wasn't doing that, and that would not have happened.
Well, it is, I'm grateful for everything that you've done.
Yeah.
And we do have folks that still have to do it, but I'm glad it worked for you and you're
At
stable.
that time, that was 10 years ago.
That's a wonderful thing. That's a great thing. I know that we had a chance to talk ahead of time too, and you have done a lot of work around getting people out of poverty. And that's a passion of yours.
And it can be, most times I do it in like 4 hours, and it's kind of looking at like the mental models and looking at the differences. We know people in poverty do not speak the same as people in middle class or even in wealthy. So it's kind of like understanding those differences and how we can work around that. And then Getting Ahead is a 9-week course, which takes those same concepts and applies them from a different view. And you take the people in poverty and you teach them how to plan, how to maneuver the economic classes, because I'm sorry, but the world just operates in a middle class world. And not everybody understands the hidden rules or expectations from that. So we go over all that over 9 weeks. And in the end, the goal was, when I did it, was to have a vision board that matched your plan. And then if you wanted extra support after the 9 weeks, you could come to me and I could assign you a case manager at Community Action where I worked, and they would work with you to help reduce the barriers and help you reach those goals that you wanted to reach. And we did have people meet those goals. I had someone was saving money to buy a house, and we actually used her as a success story. She went back to school to get a degree in human resources. So we help people get cars. So it was just, that is really just my wheelhouse. And I love to talk that kind of stuff. Because I hear a lot of times, and I've heard it from the organization that hired us to run the shelter, well, they should just be happy they have a place to sleep. I'm sorry, but adults do not behave. It doesn't matter. We're all guilty. Even if I put you in a hotel, I know you're appreciative, but you're in a hotel where there's a community setting and there's a chance that people are going to be grilling together. They're going to be drinking. They're going to be smoking. So things are going to happen, and that's very naive. I had somebody else once who told me we used to provide meals for my groups. And they said, well, why would you feed them when you're giving them a gift card to attend? Okay, so the logic behind that is, and that you may remember that, I think you were sitting there. And the logic behind that is we want to create a community. We want everybody to come in before class, eat together, let's talk and just relax, before we begin class and get into the more formal stuff. So when people come to me and they ask me about the housing situation or why people in poverty, because they don't understand, I like to take, and I really wish I would have printed this out, but I was dealing with some crises today and didn't think about it. We look at now we know the minimum wage in Ohio, I think, is $10 an hour now. It was $7.30 2 years ago, or maybe $8.35 or something like that. Thankfully, COVID has pushed people to raise the hourly rates. And right now, if somebody takes a job and they say they've offered me a job at $13 an hour, $13 an hour is not enough to pay rent. Not even $17 an hour is to pay rent. And MIT has a really good website called Living Wage MIT. And if you go there, you can look at individual counties throughout the United States, and it provides a lot of information. Some of the information, I did it for Delaware County, but I have Union County in my head. And just for example, the living wage, well, let me define this first. According to Investopedia, living wage is defined as, the term referring to a theoretical income that allows individuals or families to afford adequate shelter, food, and other necessities. Other necessities is described as utilities. That doesn't include phone, internet, stuff like that. The goal of a living wage is to allow employees to earn enough income for a satisfactory standard of living and prevent them from falling into poverty. Economics suggests it should be enough to ensure that no more than 30% of income is getting spent on housing. So my example of that is, and I looked at Delaware County. So right now, if you are one adult with no children, your living wage is $16.32 an hour. If you are one adult with one child, your living wage now jumps up to almost doubled. You have to make $35.71 an hour to be able to meet your basic needs. One adult and one child. So the little case study I have here, and we'll look at the 30% here. I know it's stuck to my arm. So what I wrote a little case study. So most landlords, and we know this, most, not all, want 3 times the amount of income for rent. And of course, we know you should never pay more than 30% of your income in rent. So Jan is homeless and looking for a place to live in Delaware. She works at a major retail store for $17 an hour, $40 a week, and has one child. I wrote 40. Did I say 20?
You said $40 a week.
Okay. Yes. She has one child. Jan's gross income not take home, gross income is $2,856. She is looking for a 2-bedroom home for her and her child in Delaware. 2-bedroom houses on average in Delaware are $1,275. So if we look at that, she can 3 times her amount, she can afford a house that's $952. If she pays 30% of her rent, so $2,856 per month times 30% would be $856. So if we look at it that way, she shouldn't be paying more than $850 a month in rent. But she's going to be forced to pay $1,275, which is almost 50% of her income. And this is why people can't survive and why they can't find housing. In Union County, oddly enough, it's even worse. Union County, a 2-bedroom house in Union County is going for $1,450. The livable wage in Union County for one person is $17 an hour. So it's not feasible. So that's what I'm running into in Union County. At least Family Promise has been in Delaware for 14 years. They kind of gnawed away at the landlords a little bit to get those rents down a little bit, but that's not happening in Union County. We're not even remotely there. Sometimes the Salvation Army can't even help because people are asking more than market rent in Union County. And that $1,450 doesn't include pet rent. And it was the lady who did my nails. I asked her what she was paying. at the place she was living at because it was a new complex, and that's what she told me. So we did a little research, and it's about 1,400 for 2-bedroom in Union County. And the water's the water is expensive. The utilities are just expensive. It's just expensive in
Yes, it
Union
is.
County. And it's been very difficult because Honda now has all kinds of people. They're advertising out of state. And people are coming, and we don't even have enough housing for the people we have. And credit is a big thing as well. I've got a woman now who is making almost $40 an hour, has had her job, just life happened and, husband died. She lost her housing. And she wants to live in an apartment complex because of the community feel. She wants her son to have the community, the weight room, the pool and everything. She meets all the criteria, but the credit score, and they're denying her on credit score alone.
So when we hear this, we know Jennifer also has been immersed in this at an international level, being in the Peace Corps and that. So it's important. Everybody has different skills and experiences. I know Pam worked for the county, and I learned from Callie this week the importance we're trying to do what we call with the really complicated situations. We have someone who has been working with DD, working with you on this too, and with guardianship cases that we have to have kind of a wraparound ahead of time. Schools require those kind of things, but if we go into this, it's we need to have community support because we know we can't do it alone.
No, we definitely
We
can't.
really can't. So everybody here has different voice, and I welcome you two here, Denise and Freddie. Would you mind sharing what you do with us, Denise? Just shoot you. Everybody else already did it.
I am the director of finance. So they're accountant, I guess you would say.
She pauses for minutes because she's also a CFO, so I know what's going on. So anyway, I know everybody's voice is important. So just from what we've been able to share so far, what questions, go back to that motivation thing again.
Can I add something real quick? We're dealing with a crisis, so please don't think we're rude.
Yeah. I think already.
We work in a homeless shelter.
Even though we tend to not like to call it that, that's what we do.
Like homeless centers. And somebody called me today and asked for the homeless center.
Well, so we do rapid rehousing, but our mission is emergency shelter that leads to stable housing. If it's just only the emergency part, without the stable housing, we're not doing what our dream is and we're crushed. So there's more to it, but that's what's important.
And what you were explaining, and this is what I see at our level, housing, that type of thing, and I'm sure that Tanya can back this up. A young person that's making $13 an hour, that's a lot of money to them coming from living at home. And they think that they can go out and, $1,200 a month, but I make it, just your example, I'm making $2,800, I got to still have 50% of my paycheck month.
Right.
And you get caught up in this dream of I can make it. And the most deflated person that comes into our office is that person that started out thinking they could do it and gets slapped upside the head with reality and end up back at home with mom and dad. And we just had a case come through that ended up back at home with mom and dad, saved a little bit of money, trying to go out on their own again. Well, we've got two of them, and reality's hitting again because there's no emergency fund for hospital stays. Both of them, they've lived there. They've lived there 60 days. Yeah. They've both been in the hospital. They both had fairly decent jobs. In reality, it's such a deflating factor in getting out on your own. I don't see anybody teaching financial responsibility to these kids and saying, hey, well, let's, if I've got $1 left over at the level they're at, they go to McDonald's.
Right.
And This meal tonight costs what, Greg? $68 to feed everybody here. You can feed a family
You can.
if there is planning, and nobody is teaching the planning part of it, the reality, and we see it. I know you have to see it, and we're seeing it not just in young kids, younger people, because we're dealing with multi-family properties. But I'm looking at 60-year-old people and these buildings here that are still trying to figure out reality.
I'm wondering with what you shared, if some of our folks weren't at other meetings, and I know our board wasn't, could you prime the pump by sharing out of motivation what you did here? Tell us about this housing again. I want to hear the story.
Do you mind if I do it closer to the mic?
Go ahead.
All right. So where we're sitting today is known as the JC Village. It is a result of the North Columbus JC's vision for providing housing in Ohio. So the very first building that was ever built by the North Columbus JC's is known as the JC Arms. It's down on 266 East Main Street at the corner of 5th and East Main. That was built in 1971. That building has 223 units of housing, all for elderly, all affordable. This building was built in 1980. It's got 101 units. At the point of completion, several years later, Greg 30acre had the idea that there could be a way to ramp this up and do it larger and better and bigger. He had the support of a core group within the North Columbus JCs who became the founding members of the foundation, the NCJC Housing and Development Foundation. Since this was established, the original investment was made in 2018. Since that time, we have grown from the, let me do my math, 324 units of housing. We've grown to 515 throughout 2 buildings in Hillsborough, 1 building in Martins Ferry, and then several other buildings down in Ripley, Ohio. And then all the townhomes on the west side of Columbus. Those townhomes are particularly close to my heart because they allow for us to offer duplexes and fourplexes to individuals and families in Columbus at rates that are lower than market rate, but do not require subsidies. So it really fills that gap that we so often see when people reach the benefit cliff. We at this point at the foundation are helping to bring about the newest project, which is 120 units of multifamily affordable housing directly in front of the JC Arms, known as the downtown campus, the downtown Columbus campus. That campus is going to be not only 120 units of multifamily affordable housing, but it's going to be 8,600 square feet of commercial space where we intend to host a provider of some sort of community service. Right now, we have our eye on an organization that focuses on the gamut of health. We want to provide mental health, physical health, and healthy food for our community, not just the residents, but the entire community in which we operate. We're also working to create a pipeline from that campus into gainful employment through the future phase, which would include a career center. So that's what we do on a daily basis, and we do it because of the continued support of the North Columbus JCs, and we're really excited to continue to be able to touch lives, as Greg mentioned.
2 full-time staff?
Yeah. So
Which is impressive.
2. And property management, how do you all work together?
So every one of our large properties is handled by the Barkus Company, which Tanya is the vice president of. And
You look forward to my phone call.
we couldn't do it without them, because if it weren't for their staff on the ground being able to put into practice the vision that everybody had for these buildings, it would just be a vision. They truly are the ones who are out there doing the work at these large facilities, engaging with people's lives and helping to facilitate the type of housing that we all want to see facilitated.
Well, I think, I don't want to speak for you, but I think you see our.
So it's a great segue. I've never shared my motivation with you guys as owners. And yes, I am the vice president of our management company, but I did start as the leasing agent in Delaware, actually, at an affordable property that, you know, offered to not only families, but disabled and seniors as well. I am the prime example of breaking that generational poverty. My generation, I'm one of 8. My generation did it. All 8 of us did it. We watched our mother, single mom, struggle. She actually went to nursing school when I was an adult. I have younger siblings. The youngest is 12 years younger than me. So pretty big age gap there. She got her LPN. Then when I was an adult, she got her RN. She is now pursuing her doctorate. I have 2 brothers who have a doctorate, and so now I think I got to do it too, but I really don't want to do it. That's a whole nother conversation. But we all watched a very strong woman who single-handedly raised all 8 of us break through, and I was able to learn from her. I always wanted to be a teacher, which is really weird. I was going to teach high school social studies. I was going to be the coolest teacher there ever was. And here I am in property management, and that leasing agent position is what got me. I was able to watch people be housed, stabilized, and not have to worry about having that roof over their head. And I was able to connect them with the resources within the community. I then realized that this was kind of my passion, that helping people. So then I moved into a property manager role, and then I have 2 children, and I'm married, and I'm supporting my family. And so then I kind of went into the corporate side, but I never lost that we're here to help people. And I think that's why we work so well together, is I have that same mentality because I lived it. And so I know what their mission is because I was there. And so I don't have to struggle anymore. And I'm very blessed, but I still am on a day-to-day on site, meeting those residents, shaking their hand, having those conversations. How can we help you stabilize with not only housing, but healthcare, the resources, and things like that.
Yes. This is why we fit together. She understands what our mission is. And she hires managers and staff to facilitate our goals. And we don't just preach it to her or tell her what we want. We invite her to be a part of our process. So when we're designing this new building, she's one of the more valuable members of the table as far as I'm concerned. When we start talking about the supportive services, she sits in on all these meetings with us and gives us her opinion and direction of how we can work together. Without that team effort, I don't think our success would be anywhere near what it is. And on a day-to-day basis, all we have to do is run an ad that we've got 1 property for rent. We get 50 people coming to the office.
Easily. Oh, I'm sorry.
On call.
On call. Yeah. Sorry.
Real thing.
Every day we hear, the hard luck stories, but it's sitting down and looking at who's sincere about it. I know you're sincere.
Thank you.
You stop and listen instead of trying to tell them what they were going to do for you.
Yep.
You sit back and say, you're the professional. Tell me what I need to do for me. And then in return, you want to do more for them.
Yes, sir.
And that's the type of people we look for, are people that are ready to say, I've tried it, I failed. I had these dreams and aspirations. I still have them. I just am not in a position to attain them right now. And we can sit down and say, we'll cut your rent. We'll do whatever it takes on our part to make you successful, but you have to participate. not us doing it for you. If I give you lower rent and you go blow your money, I've wasted my time.
Another motivation question, and this maybe, I know each of you give your time, you're here today. What was your fire in the belly to give either financially or of time to make these facilities? I know they're millions of dollars. So how do you do that? How do you raise the funds and the capital and the people to come together?
Initially, it was a gift sent to us by the architect.
Oh, wow.
Nobody else would do it. I keep telling people, you know,
When the office was built, it was a new program by HUD. And the architect, he was picked up the program and he wanted to do it. His home KP chapter turned it down. And they come to us and we said, yeah, we were $10,000 in debt at the time. But they said, yeah, we'll do it. And they did it. They didn't have to take basically any money out of their pocket at the time. This building, they didn't have to take any money out until this building was originally going to be built on High Street in Arcadian High and Glen Echo Regina.
Oh, yeah, I know where that's at.
And Kaplan Levesque owned the building, and they community group thought we were going to destroy the ravine, so they fought us on it. So Kaplan Levesque said, "I'm going to sell you the land." So we were stuck with a project approved by HUD. To get this land, we had to put $20,000 down. One of our past presidents stepped up, put $10,000 in with it to get paid back, and the chapter put $10,000 in. So.
Multiplying on that, I like to say, I'm not the most intelligent guy out there. You've heard the story, my algebra teacher wrote my year being most likely to fail at anything he intends.
We know that's not true.
My claim to fame is, I'm too stupid to think I can fail. So if there's something that I see as a problem, then we're gonna go out and find a solution for it. And I don't think that you can fail at that. I mean, every time we presented a problem with this new building or potential problem, we want a problem right then and come up with a solution. Or be hunting for that solution. By the next meeting, we have an answer to how we're going to solve that problem. And I think the best leaders are the ones that anticipate a problem and have it off before it becomes an issue and sinks the ship.
Have you been able to get tax abatements or these tax credits?
So our downtown building is a tax credit building. The new project is. All the other stuff, we've just been paying for as we go. We pay cash as we go.
So I do want to give this group a ton of kudos with this tax credit. I'm not a big fan of the tax credit program. I've said it openly. Yes, it does provide housing. However, it does not come with subsidy and it does put income limits. And then when you talk about the 2.5 or 3.5 times your income, you're pushing not even being within the income limits that you have to be under to qualify for it. So you end up having people, you're putting residents into a brand new place and setting them up for potential failure during that first year, second year, third year. And so I gritted my teeth for a couple of months as they went through this process, and sure enough, it all got awarded. And so I finally spoke up and said, during the first year, at least 50% of our new residents are going to face housing instability. And at the financial level, there's going to be other things which they're working through the supportive services to take care of. And Greg said, fine, we'll match it. And I'm like, match what? He's like, well, we'll figure out how to set aside half of the first year's rent. So if we have somebody who is facing that housing instability and they qualify, we'll help them out. And so they together came up with a way to make it happen. And so that eased my mind. And so now, right now, I like the tax credit program and I'm going forward with it. We're fine. So, only because they're willing to help.
Going $500,000.
So we figured it out, but that was my fear with this downtown campus. And I no longer have any fears. So we have to be able to provide that long-term financial support for them to be able to succeed and stabilize.
And that's I'm too stupid to think I could fail. I know we'll put $500,000 up. Then I went back to my office. Oh, where do I?
What did I just say?
I have witnesses.
I kept checking it that way. I don't think I could. We'll make it happen.
I know Callie had an on-call, and I know you've been gone on vacation, and Denise got here. Does anybody, along with our board, in terms of what you've heard about what we do or questions for this group, have something specific that you want to be able to say or ask?
I think one thing that I really get excited about with your group, one, what a team effort. And a team effort is important because when one of you feels down, the other one can get up.
It's that is,
I'm laughing because
us up.
Jennifer and I are consistently texting and calling.
yes, yes.
We
You saw,
regularly tell each other, I miss your face.
yeah, you saw our memes. That's one of the wonderful things about here. And Gwen will tell you, even though there's a hierarchy, there is no hierarchy. We are all equal. And we all treat each other as equals. We all come to each other for advice. We all come to each other for support. It's just, I mean, these people I work with, they're my friends, and I'm very thankful I have them as colleagues because I couldn't ask for a better working group of people who work so collaborative. We work very, very well together.
And it's exciting to see success stories of what you've done, what you've accomplished. If you give an opportunity to somebody and are there to hold their hand, give that nudge, that positive influence every now and then, you've touched a life that's going to go out and touch so many more lives. And there is nothing more rewarding than to have that happen. To know that it's not, it's like having kids, you know, you get to see what they do from the efforts you did in raising. It's just unbelievable, but you know, you get to experience it. You get to sit right next to somebody that, and you're sitting next to somebody that cared about you.
Absolutely.
Do that for you.
Sometimes I can't believe I'm sitting here. Like, I'm like, I don't even fit in. I'm just a lot, but it's just true. I'm serious. It's a good feeling. Thank you.
It doesn't sound like I'm preaching, but that what you see here as JC in this organization is what you can be. You should be out touching lives. You should be raising money to support organizations like this. You should be bringing people in and making and encouraging them, teaching them how to do a budget, teaching them how to affect somebody else's life.
A lot of the people that we bring into the shelter, they'll ask how they can give back.
It's true.
It's a lot of people do, especially when we do intake. It's thank you, or even halfway through.
This is an example of that.
Exactly. Big example, but we hear it all the time. How can I give back? How can I volunteer? And then it's like, get stable and then we'll talk.
That's it.
I mean, I've been volunteering since the beginning of it being in Delaware, you know, since it kind of started. And a couple years ago, like a year into the pandemic, I met somebody who was graduating from high school, and she remembers staying at our church when she was little, you know, and, you know, and now she was going to college and her family was doing okay, you know, still not, you know, but they were stable, and she was having these opportunities, and she had they moved from homelessness, experiencing that crisis to stability. And here's this little girl, like young woman who remembered running around the halls of our church building, and I remember her when she was little because I know exactly. So when, both people have said things that are my whys, blessed to be a blessing. And it's the volunteers too. I mean, this organization would never have existed without extensive volunteerism. And it still relies significantly on volunteerism, even though we have a much larger staff because COVID happened. But, words have resonated with me too.
And there's nothing more rewarding. I have kids that stop into the office. We've housed or taught them how to skill, or they come through the JC chapter. I've got one gentleman right now that's in prison. And I let Brandon read, he writes me, I don't know, once a week. And his last letter just, I sit at the end of my driveway and cry. Every time I get a letter from him, he says that when he went into jail, I sent him a Bible and I said, you need to read. So if I can tell you, you're going to get saved. But it's a good book to read. Been around forever. It's been tested through time. And more people have analyzed it, tried to tear it apart. I care to admit to, and they've done it for a lifetime. And it's held its own weight. And he writes me a couple months ago and he says, I need more Bibles. Starting a Bible study. I got 40 Bibles into that. And I don't know, Brandon, summarize that last letter we had.
He just said that for the first time ever, he feels like he really knows Jesus' love and that he's felt a real change in his life. And every time you read it, it's very evident that he clearly made mistakes to end up where he's at, but you really have to have faith that the change that he's expressing in his heart truly is there, because he's messed up to be where he's at, but gosh darn it, when he gets out, he's going to be at so much better of a place.
And it's all because I agreed to running an apartment.
Speaking of that, I do know that we can't wait. There's folks that haven't got to walk about and hear more of your story about this housing. So I know we'd love to have that conversation with you this evening. And we talk about love and respect and mutuality with people. And I also want to say, in terms of an organization, this is a tender time for us because our people, our board took a risk during the pandemic and stepped forward because we had the infrastructure to take people in. And there's a grant with its matches that ended up being, it was shy of $1 million, it was 710,000, but we had to expand what we usually did and all the leveraging of volunteer resources we did to be available in that way. With that, there wasn't a plan that comes to say, like from the federal government, okay, you take this money and this is your way out of it. This is what has to happen after your staff gets $2 an hour bonuses for a couple of years to do the work that you do because of COVID. So when that's gone, it's not a script about what's going to be the next step. So I just ask, these are the faces of people who step forward and to be that front line, that 24/7 in the midst of COVID. Everybody took risk in some ways, but it was a risk to be alive. But to absolutely, there was one day when one of my peers turned to me, she's in this back row here, third one, and she says, oh, I didn't know that this is what we signed up for. And, and it was literally police, fire, the hospital. Well, they almost everybody. We didn't have one agency that we could actively refer to. There were 3 or 4 months that were exactly that way. So when you talk about the front line, people in service, I just ask that remember folks now, okay?
So I'm really bad at names, but
Okay.
ladies down that way somewhere. Yes.
With our red hair.
Yeah.
I guess we both do.
Well, one of you mentioned that, you got the renters in Delaware to keep down their rent?
That would be Gwen.
That would be. Well, I think maybe, and maybe this is what I think Jennifer touched on. With the community building that we've done and the volunteers, a lot of people that volunteer are the people in the pews or the people in the workplace, that it gets the word. But if your community hasn't had these several thousand people, it really adds up to those voices of advocacy. It really, it makes a difference. So, and not every community has had that. So especially when you're breaking new ground somewhere.
I mean, it's about the relationships that have been built over the dozen plus years with certain landlords that maybe some of them will have a better.
It's still, a lot of that's going away.
I know, well, just with so much demand right now.
Oh, and then there's a whole crew of landlords who are 83 and up and doing great work, but they're getting ready to not do this work anymore. And one owns the bulk of housing in Delaware, Union County, and in Logan, altogether hundreds of units. So you may know that Ohio is prime pickings for capital buyout, the corporation buyouts of this stuff. Rents can go $600, $800 more a month in a twinkling of an eye.
It's just crazy.
You've got good contacts with that individual?
Yeah, we've all,
asked him, I asked him the other day, I said, so, Mr. F, when you sell those houses?
I'm a little more subtle. I could just let him go on talking me.
He wants a meeting.
You want a meeting with Mr. Fuller?
We can do that.
We could probably do that.
Crystal Lake,
Huh?
Crystal Lake.
Oh, that's a campground with,
Yeah.
I had some places. there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we could probably try to arrange that.
This is, we're one-winged angels without each other because the corporate buyout is so, somebody's worked all their life and they can get that bonus and do it. It's the golden parachute. So, you can't blame that person or the kids of that person. That's what's been built as the American dream. So we have to have another incentive. So I'm going to go back to motivation about what inspires us.
Well, this landlord actually told me that, and I think he's pushing close to 90. He can't afford to sell right now because the taxes are too much in Union County or wherever. So he can't afford to pay the taxes on the houses he sells.
So the taxes are worth more than the sale?
So if he sold it right now, the amount that he would have to pay in capital gains tax makes it makes it too much of an unincentive.
Wow.
To get rid of.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna smile and nod like I get it.
Yes.
Who trusts to kind of hide them away from. There's all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Avoid those, but let's set up a meeting.
I'll try.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely make an
You will
attempt.
see what we can do.
Yeah.
Signing Greg up for stuff he doesn't know about.
I will cook for that.
Well, I just.
I heard the meeting,
I just have to say, it's so interesting that we're meeting together because this type of model, and behind us are these thousands of volunteers. It is different, but it is the force that'll change things. And it's how you did this stuff. You came together. There were some sparks here with a couple, but it took people coming alongside. So we need that now more than ever, actually.
Our sparks were a little bit harsher than others.
And
I have a question for Karen.
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Yeah, that's okay. That's Karen and Callie and Jennifer.
It's okay.
You're okay.
You facilitate classes for.
She did. I did. Yeah, I did for,
Okay.
I worked for Bridges Community Action. They actually hired me to become a facilitator. And then I facilitated these classes. I did it for the community. I did, I think, 4 community ones.
Okay.
And then I taught over,
But you still can.
oh, I still can.
This is the point. She's internationally still can pass. She's internationally certified now.
Okay, yes.
And in education of people who have never seen homelessness, experienced it, not even homelessness, just
They have no clue.
Insecurity.
They have no clue.
and I was one of those people. Greg grew up, his parents took people in, fed him, housed them, adopted them. I grew up, my parents shielded me from that. So when we have 3 boys, and when they were young, we volunteered Thanksgiving and Christmas. I know that's not a lot, but
It's still something.
at Faith
Volunteers every
Mission.
week at this thing.
Well-
I showed up at his birth dressed as Dracula because I was sharing a haunted house with Chase.
There.
Same.
Yeah, I was there for the birth. So, and to be honest with you, the first time Greg said, this is what we're gonna do, we're not doing Thanksgiving or Christmas until we do this. And I thought, oh, please don't leave me alone. Please don't leave me alone. Well, no. I was scared. And the boys all went to a room where they were passing out, certain age groups, gloves, hats. He went down to the kitchen and helped them cook. And I got to go outside in this little wagon thing and serve coffee, which was fine. People would come up and talk to me. And, after about an hour, I'm like, these people are just like me. They're just like me.
Yes.
I have on a warm cup, but they're just like me. I loved doing this after a while. So education, I think, is a huge part of this. How do you educate people like me?
Well, and we can talk about it. I have a lifetime facilitation and I'm actually chomping at the bits a little bit to do it.
That's why I asked if she could come here because.
It sounds like she needs.
Well, yeah, I will say this. Part of the relationships that we have, it's not unusual for us to have, 10, 20 teaching educational times, maybe in a month at least. So we need to leverage these opportunities that they're focused on things that can really impact change.
I think,
And I can do anywhere between an hour and 8 hours.
She's ready.
I think people need to tour, to be there, to experience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I did.
That's how family promise was formed.
Yeah, it
It
is. Yeah.
was about faith communities coming
Yeah.
together and saying, we know we've been blessed and we know that we want to help more of God's children. And this was how and this is, we encourage, like, for all the different communities that serve, they bring their kids or their teenagers or it's, and when you are in crisis, what speaks to you more than someone volunteering their time to be with you, to be present?
It is true. And we create once a month at each site.
What?
Give your time.
Right.
I could go earn money every day of the week. I can't get time back.
You're right.
So giving my time is the most valuable thing I can give to anybody.
So we found when the exit happens and folks are in the neighborhoods and communities, we've created this open space called Beyond Promise, which is focused on housing stabilization, that folks can just come back in not a negative way, not about recidivizing or which that happens sometimes. It just happens because of prices and everything. But if they can come back, we have the Justice Mobile there. Our board president is an attorney, pro bono legal. We have health resources. We have housing resources. We have people there. We have community support animals. So just that kind of stuff so that folks know that sense of community and family is there.
Free haircuts.
Yeah. Free haircut. Oh, Caleb. So what do you think on average is research is saying it takes for folks to stabilize? It can vary a lot, but when you exit emergency housing and go into a community on average, how long does it take to stabilize in housing?
2 years.
She's like,
I'm still getting stable. It's been past 10 years.
We all are. Yeah. We all are.
Oh, yeah, because you're a great example.
Thank you.
Wonderful example.
Thank you.
Some people, it take longer.
Yes. It does, yeah.
You know, some people never, but choices that we make and teaching the right choices. You know, someone once said to me, it was in a meeting that, well, not to me personally, but that if you think it's the right thing to do the opposite, because it's not the right thing. So, yeah.
I started, you know. I've spoken to a couple youth groups here lately, and even, you know where I'm going with this. And even my own cousins who just graduated high school, I told them, if I can give you any advice, always pay your rent. You need a place to live, and it's really hard to find rental assistance, but you can find utility assistance fairly easy.
Absolutely.
And never get a felony. I don't care. You get an argument, you step away. Do not raise that fist because it's a felony, and that felony will follow you the rest of your life. And you won't be able to get housing, and you won't be able to get work. And they laugh at me, but we'll see.
That's definitely one of the biggest barriers for some of our households, the felony from, you've got someone who maybe they were 19, 20, doing what 19, 20-year-olds tend to do, not making the best life choices. And then 10 years later, 15 years later, they've got a family, they've got a decent job, they're looking for housing. And with as savage as the housing market is, maybe that felony from 10 or 15 years ago wasn't an issue. But now that landlords are being insanely picky, now the landlord can go, well, I don't want to have to deal with someone with even that felony from 10 to 15 years ago if I can deal with someone who has the same income and doesn't have felonies.
Even dismissed felony charges. People are getting turned down for felony charges that were dismissed, and they're still showing up on the record. It's crazy. Non-violent felonies.
And that's even.
I never realized that because we have people come to us all the time and say, I got a felony on my record.
Yeah. That's why they're asking.
Is that going to affect your housing? I don't know. Where's your part at? I can care less about it.
Yep. Yeah, they don't care. They just see felony. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be for drug possession, and it doesn't matter. It's a felony. Sorry, can't rent to you.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Well, this group gives people the benefit of.
I know, that's why they're awesome.
We serve people with felonies.
Oh, yeah. Well, we do. We serve people with felonies for sure.
Well,
it's just finding them.
Before I retired, I did some background checks and things like that. And he would say, you know, hey, look at this one and tell me what you think. Hi. And
He's another one of the four companies.
Yeah.
Hello.
And a past president.
I would look at just the application and go, no, you know, why? Well, because of this, this, and this. Okay. So later on, what did you? Oh, yeah, we moved him into 74. Sometimes it worked great and I felt healed. And other times I was almost like, so. All right, I'll be quiet.
Thank you, Michelle.
I don't get out much.
But look up Bridges Out of Poverty online and just research what it is. And if you guys are Bridges Out of Poverty.
Okay.
So I
did both.
I won't speak for all the JCs, but because I know that I tend to lean a little too, I lean hard on the professional development side and not hard enough on the party side maybe. But I would really love to see maybe a workshop where we set aside, like, let's do it right. If they are willing to teach an hour workshop on how to engage with people in all income brackets, let's get with the Grove City Young Professionals. Let's get with the Rotary Club. Let's advertise it as many places as we can. And let's like make it a thing, like an event. And try and get a group of people educated on this. Because I find it fascinating. Like as often as I engage with people in different situations than I am always finding myself learning new things about like a concern that I wouldn't have thought about or a challenge that I had no idea existed. So I think the better we can educate ourselves and encourage other young professionals to educate themselves, the better off the world will be.
Brandon, when we corresponded about this, I had mentioned, we're really just a bunch of real people that are seeing this stuff every day. So what I would like to stress, if we were a part of that folks are seeing the real thing. And although it's a model that is based on science, that it also comes through applying the real experiences too, which I think can really make the difference.
Yeah.
Have any of you ever heard of the poverty simulations? United Way of Central Ohio used to do them. And that's another tool in Logan County. Dave Bezusko, the head of the United Way in Logan County, does them a lot. I don't know who does them in Franklin County anymore.
Impact does.
Impact does? Okay. So what it is, it's basically, and my friend from Kenya laughed at me that us Americans had to do this. It's a 2-hour scenario where you pretend you're in poverty. You're assigned a family, you're assigned a person, you're assigned a kid, and then you have scenarios that you have to do, and you can get a landlord can evict you, So it's literally like, it's a 4-week period. Each week is 15 minutes. And it's something I can't do, but it might be something, interactive you might want to look into. And everybody I'm a single mom with a child. So now I've got this list of activities I got to do, and I've got 15 minutes to do it in. So I may have to go to jail because my kid's not in truancy. So how am I going to go to job if I've got, so it works through those kind of scenarios, real life, real time.
Yeah, real life situation.
Yeah.
Are we going to have the opportunity tonight that we can walk and talk? Would we be able to do that?
We'll have the opportunity after we wrap up the meeting here anytime, right? I mean, I could talk.
I can't even share. I mean, for us, who see people struggle every day to get a sniff of housing developed, I can't tell you what it means. So
What I would like to do is maybe give each of you an opportunity to leave us with like a pearl of wisdom or a nugget. And then once we've kind of put a bow on this, I'll say thank you to everybody online and in the recording. We'll stop recording. And then anyone who wants to hang around to walk the facility with these fine folks and chat and kind of socialize afterward, as long as Steve's here, we're allowed to still be here. So
we'll just when he goes to bed, we all have.
2 in the morning.
How would you guys kind of like to put a bow on our conversation tonight? Maybe I'll leave us with a.
I think I've already given my words of wisdom.
I have something to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
We were not put here to be alone. We were all here to be together. So let's work together to make life better, make this earth better as it can be together. You didn't put us here just for me, for myself. Like we gotta love one another and pull each other up. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think I'll add to that, because I've worked in a few situations where they say we're a team, but it turns out that you're really not that team that you need to be. But I'm discovering working here, living here, and, because this is our life now. This is what we do, and this is who we are. And it does take a team. No man should stand alone.
Any words from you, Denise? Pay your rent.
Yes.
Well, I think that it's important that in this process that we remind ourselves that we are also stewards. And so the trust, the monies, the buildings, the material things, all of those things are very important, and we have to remember that we are stewards for other people. Other people's success is dependent upon our stewardship. And so, you know, being an analytical person, and by the way, this is my brother. I had rotary cup surgery.
I was gonna let you share.
So he is my driver. He's been driving me for a month and a half everywhere I go.
Thank you, Freddie.
Publicly thank him.
Oh.
Patient, even though he's nicknamed me as driving mistakes.
I was gonna ask you, he called you Daisy.
Called me Daisy. Drive. I think he's afraid that I'll just punch him.
Can't with that shoulder.
Yeah.
But one time, you know, but I think, you know, from an analytical person and from a finance person, that is what is important to me. I always tell my other nonprofits, no money, no mission. And once you get the money or you get the resources, whether it's food, whether it's housing, you know, donations, whatever it is, let's just be good stewards of it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's beautiful.
Excellent.
Thanks for bringing our friend. Yes.
Bro.
And Callie did have to step out. I am so grateful. There was a room inspection and someone had some beverages, so she's been taking care of this.
Adult beverages, where they weren't supposed to be.
I would like to say that every time we've met with you,
There's been a crisis.
Go to your chief, go to your chief.
I come away richer with just having the ability to rub shoulders with people like you that give from the heart. And you know, I don't think we are anywhere near accomplishing what we get accomplished. I just, I think that's one of the reasons we asked you to be here. It's just enriching to be around you. You're contagious.
I feel the same way about
You're
you guys.
likewise.
Yeah, I mean, I have gone back and just tooted your horn left and
You're
right.
the only one. There's a thing, it's taken trust for all of us. We've just shown up. We haven't know there's a mystery to this. We don't know exactly what's going on. But there's a saying, you got to show up, tell the truth, and don't get too attached to the results because we don't know exactly where this is going, but we're building relationship and trust and learning. And I'm grateful for everybody for being willing to show up.
And I'm really glad we came together because I feel like, you know, the way our two organizations came together was almost like we had been in partnership a long time. It's like we had all known each other a long time. That's how it kind of feels.
And it felt comfortable.
Yeah.
And my theory in life is always, nobody gets into my office, sits across from me, unless God put them there. I don't care if you're homeless, an alcoholic.
Right.
Or a preacher of the church. The president of the United States, he put you there. It's up to you to figure out
My part.
and how I'm to be involved. Sometimes it's just time to walk away, but most of the time.
We've had that too. Sometimes.
Unless you guys have anything further.
Just a comma, because there's more. For later.
So as far as the recording at home goes, everybody here in the meeting, thank you so much for your time. Our guests, thank you guys so much for your words of wisdom and just your heartfelt communication with us tonight. I know that I found it very enriching and I just enjoy hanging out with you guys. So
yeah, same here.
This was a lot of fun. Really loved hearing your heart for the mission and just seeing opportunities where we could come alongside each other. For everybody else who's participating online or watching this in the future, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to have elections during the next PDN. Is that correct, Stephanie? October?
Yep, October.
Okay, so September is our Hope's Landing. We're going to have Leah Cordy from Hope's Landing here as a speaker, so we hope everybody is going to be able to attend that in September. Come October, we're going to have elections. November is Keevan Hill speaking about the secrets to real estate. And then December, probably gonna have a Christmas party or something. We'll see. So thank you, everybody online and in the future. We appreciate your time and being with us here today. Have a good evening.
Thank you.